15 puzzles that might keep you up all night. Studies have shown that solving riddles and puzzles is exceptionally beneficial for your brain. It sharpens your mind, improves your memory, and teaches you to pay attention to small details. What's more, it's fun! So get ready to train your brain and bring a smile to your face. In this video, you'll have to crack 15 puzzles. After each puzzle, you'll have just 10 seconds to figure out the answer. If you need a bit more time, don't panic. Just pause the video. To make things more interesting, each of these riddles has a little twist. Good luck! 1. The Candle Mystery. An old man and his 3 daughters lived in a village. One day, the old man got very sick, so Death came to take his spirit. The oldest daughter asked Death to let her father live for 2 more years, and Death agreed. 2 years later, Death returned for the father. The second daughter asked for mercy, so Death agreed to grant the old man 1 more year. A year later, Death returned as promised. The youngest daughter came with a candle and asked Death to let her father live until the candle in her hand burned out. Death agreed. However, just as the youngest daughter planned, Death never returned. How did the youngest daughter save her father? Can you figure it out in just 10 seconds? The youngest daughter was smart and simply blew out the candle after Death left. That's why the candle never burned out. 2. The Ladder Mystery. Paul was standing on a 100-foot-high ladder. He was planning to paint one of the walls of his house yellow. Unfortunately, it had rained several hours earlier, which is why he slipped from the ladder and fell to the ground. This may seem surprising, but he didn't die or suffer an injury. How did he manage to survive? The ladder was too high for an ordinary person to fall off without getting hurt. Could Paul levitate? What are your thoughts? The reason for this miraculous survival was the fact that Paul was standing on the bottom rung of the ladder. 3. The Coins Mystery. You have 2 buckets of fresh tap water. The temperature of the water inside the first bucket is 25 degrees Celsius, while the water inside the second bucket is 25 degrees Fahrenheit. You drop a coin into each bucket. The height is the same, the speed of the coins is the same, and they hit the water at the same time. But can you predict which coin will touch the bottom first? 10 seconds to solve this puzzle. The coin in the first bucket will fall to the bottom of the bucket first. At 25 degrees Celsius, water is liquid, while at 25 degrees Fahrenheit, it turns into ice. 4. The Grass Mystery. There is a patch of magic grass in a field, and it doubles in quantity every day. If on day 1 it's 1 patch of grass, on day 2 there will be 2 patches, and so on. It takes 10 days for the grass to cover the entire field. How long will it take for the grass to cover half of the field? Hide your calculators, they won't help you out. Better turn on your lateral thinking. The grass doubles in quantity every day. So on the 9th day, it will be half the quantity it is on the 10th day. Half of the field will be covered on the 9th day. 5. The Apple Mystery. There are 10 people in a room. They are standing in a circle so that each person can see the entire room and everyone else. You must place an apple in such a way that all the people but one can see it. Where do you place the apple? Isn't this a tough question? Could there be any nooks or secret spots in the room? 10 seconds to figure it out. In fact, you don't need any special hiding spots to fulfill the conditions of the riddle. Just place the apple on someone's head. 6. Car versus car. There are two cars, blue and red. The blue car is going at a speed of 60 miles per hour, and the speed of the red car is 40 miles per hour. They both started at the same point in time. However, after some time on the road, they still cross each other at some point. How is that possible? Which laws of physics do these cars neglect to encounter each other? Can you understand this in just 10 seconds? The trick lies in the fact that they are traveling in opposite directions. 7. The Apple Tree Mystery. Two friends, Anne and Mary, went for a walk. Suddenly, it started to rain heavily. The girls saw a seemingly abandoned house and decided to shelter there. When the rain stopped, the friends were dry but very hungry, so they set off in different directions to find some fruit. Anne found an apple tree. She was happy and immediately ate an apple. All of a sudden, she turned into a tree herself. Half an hour later, Mary arrived there in her search for fruit and her friend. She heard someone say, "Your friend turned into a tree. You must find her to bring her back. You only have one chance. If you get it wrong, your friend will remain a tree forever." Mary was terrified. How would she find out which tree was her friend? Well, there must be some trick. Will 10 seconds be enough time for you to find the solution to this dilemma? You needed to think outside of the box. Since it had just been raining, all the trees in the forest had to be wet. The only tree that wasn't wet was Anne. Unfortunately, we'll never know if Mary was smart enough to realize that. 8. The King's Task. Once upon a time, there was a king. He didn't have a wife or any children. He was old and worried about his throne and the future of the kingdom. That's why he decided to do the following. He gave each child in the country a seed and promised to make the child who grew the most beautiful plant his heir. 3 months later, thousands of children came to the palace. All of them had amazingly tall and green plants in their hand, but one girl had a pot that was empty. However, she was the one the king chose to be the future queen. What made him do so? Was the king too old to remember his promise? Why would he hand his kingdom over to the girl who had grown nothing? The truth is that the king had given the children fake seeds. The girl turned out to be the only honest child. 9. A fair bet. Tim bet Jacob $100 that he could predict the score of a football match before the game began. Jacob laughed and agreed to the bet. However, he lost his money. Why did this happen? You have 10 seconds to figure out if Tim is a psychic. Well, Tim wasn't completely honest. He just used a clever wordplay. He said that the score would be 0-0, and he was right. Before a match starts, the score is always 0-0. 10. The Mystery of the Bearded Man. There is a man who shaves a minimum of 10 times a day. Still, he has a long beard. Who is this man? Can you figure out the answer to this phenomenon? The man indeed shaves, but he shaves other people. He's a barber. 11. The Inheritance Mystery. An old man decided to leave all the money he'd been saving his whole life to one of his 3 sons, but he couldn't decide which son deserved the money. So he provided each of them with 1 coin and asked them to buy something that would fill their biggest room. The oldest son bought some cotton wool, but it was too little to fill the whole room. The middle son brought home straw, but there was still some empty space in the room. As for the youngest son, he bought 2 things that immediately filled the room, earning him his father's money. What did he bring home? You have just 10 seconds to understand what these 2 objects were. However, if you need more time, pause the video. The youngest son turned out to be the wisest. The money his father had given him was more than enough to buy a box of matches and a candle. After he lit the candle, the room was instantly filled with light. 12. The Shower Mystery. Jane gets in the shower, but surprisingly, her hair isn't wet after she gets out. How is this possible? While some solutions may look obvious to you, this situation isn't so clear. Use your 10 seconds to mull it over. Jane's hair is dry because she didn't turn on the water. 13. The Stylist Mystery. Why does a hairstylist prefer to cut the hair of 2 blondes than 1 red-haired person? You have 10 seconds to understand the quirk of this stylist. Well, obviously, the stylist prefers 2 blondes. After all, he gets paid twice as much for 2 haircuts than for 1. 14. The Trapped Man Mystery. An unlucky man gets trapped in a room. There are only 2 doors through which he can escape. However, behind the first door is a room made from magnifying glass. As soon as the man sets foot in there, the boiling hot sun will instantly fry him. As for the second door, it hides a furious, fire-breathing dragon. How can the man escape? Will you be able to help free the man from the trap? Remember that you have just 10 seconds to do this. It's actually pretty simple to escape from the room. The man has to wait until sunset and leave through the first door. 15. The Truck Trick. A truck driver isn't paying attention to the road and gets stuck under an overpass that is a mere inches too low for his truck. He starts panicking and calls his boss. However, his boss gives him an order, after fulfilling which, the driver manages to get out of the trap with ease. What is the boss's order? Are you as experienced as the driver's boss? 10 seconds more and we'll figure it out. The boss told the man to let the air out of his tires. This way, the truck became a couple of inches shorter and managed to back out of the overpass. Which riddle did you find the most interesting? Tell us in the comments below. Remember to like this video and subscribe to our channel to always stay on the bright side of life.